So I heard something, it was probably over a month ago, and it kind of, struck my fancy, so I wrote it down. And at first, it kind of made me giggle a little bit because the first part of it was really something that we do as INFJs do really well. And the second part, I had to think on it a little bit more and then kind of, I guess, digest it. And Leo, Leo's here today. Yeah, needing some loving. So I'll just read it to you and then I'll talk about it a little bit. So this person said, it's time to see some things with your spirit that you cannot see with your senses. Recognize where the enemy is attacking you most frequently and ask for insight into your greatest vulnerability, or you will spend all your energy fighting battles you could have avoided. So, that first part, see things with your spirit that you cannot see with your senses. I feel like that's one of the things that we do best. We are able to, see things that are not, I guess, in the physical world. And we sometimes have difficulty recognizing the physical world, which is why we bump into things, knock stuff over, forget things, misplace things. Or at least in my case, that's what I do. But the next part, recognize where the enemy is attacking you most frequently and ask for insight into greatest vulnerability. That was the part that made me think a little bit, because even though, I feel like I am able to, kind of see things, see what's going on, see, the deeper part of what's happening in a situation or a conversation, or even in, just happenings of things without my senses, to see, to get that intuition about what's going to happen, what's really happening, what's underneath the surface of the physical world and the way a person would present themselves physically, externally. The part about looking into yourself and then asking for insight into what your greatest vulnerability is, so you can see where you are being attacked the most. That was the part that got me thinking. Because the last part about you will fight battles you were never meant to fight, and you have to ask for insight into where those vulnerabilities are. And as far as asking for insight for me, that would be, asking the Holy Spirit, asking God, where am I weak that I can be attacked? And when I was thinking about this morning, as I was, Leo, as I was kind of mentally preparing to do this video, I was thinking about, where my vulnerabilities lie. And I know that for me, the negative words are a huge vulnerability for me. And I don't necessarily end up going into battles with people always, but I definitely go into battles with myself. If I hear, if someone that I'm talking to says something, some bit of criticism or some negative thing to me or about something I've done, then I end up going to battle with myself in my head later, picking apart everything I said, did, thought, and didn't say or do. And then sometimes I can take those things and I end up taking it out on someone else, probably someone, that I love very much and is closer to me. But if I would ask for insight into where those vulnerabilities are, I can see when those things happen, when I hear someone's, negative or constructive criticism of me, I don't have to take it as my identity. I don't have to take it on. I can, remember who I really am. I'm not a selfish person. I'm not a person that only is out for my own well-being. I'm not a lazy person, because those are kind of the thoughts that things end up getting turned into. Someone could say, I was really disappointed that you didn't get this one thing done, and then my brain will turn that into, you are lazy, you are selfish, instead of what it was really meant to be, which is, I'm disappointed you didn't get this one thing done. And for whatever the reasoning is to not get that thing done, it doesn't matter. What your brain turns it into, because where your vulnerabilities lie and where the enemy is able to attack you to, bring you down. Because if we are able to be attacked and brought down and like derailed in what we were doing by the enemy in the form of our thoughts and self-criticism, then we are not very powerful in doing the things that we were gifted and blessed to do. So the goal of the enemy is to steal, kill, and destroy, and that includes our joy, that includes our purpose, that includes, how we identify ourselves. And let's see, and then I was trying to think of another way that I'm vulnerable, but I think, I really had a lot of an eye-opener into my vulnerability, into negative words and negative speech when, well, obviously in arguments with people, which I don't have very often because I tend to avoid them, but being married for 20 years, you do have arguments, and I can turn around the things that were said into things that really hurt me, even though the intention of the words may not have been to hurt me that much. But when I received my first, troller, which is months ago now, and it's actually like, had I kind of prepared myself and asked God to protect my heart over that initially, I mean, I still probably would have been bothered by it, but I don't think it would have hit me quite as hard as it did. And if I had been able to say, okay, this is a vulnerable area for me, and I need to kind of build up my defenses, and I have since, but at the time, if I had been able to do that, I think I would have reacted much better, because at that time, and still even times now, my thoughts make me want to say, you need to just stop what you're doing, just go back to what you were doing before, which was not talking about anything and not sharing my life with anyone and keeping it all in, which is not good. So I think, I would have been able to not fight that battle with myself, and even trying to fight that battle with a person that is a, faceless, nameless, negative person on the internet, which even saying that seems foolish. But I want us to think about this. This first part is something we're really good at. See things in our spirit that we can't see with our senses. We're really good at that. But asking for insight into what our greatest vulnerabilities are so that we can avoid battles with ourselves, battles with other people, and battles with the enemy as well, because, he really wants to tear us down. He does not want, I can tell you by the amount of kind of like push against me in my own self, and even in, like, it's hard to explain. I can feel the push against me to, by the enemy. I just can't seem to put the words in, but I can feel the push against me by the enemy to want me to stop talking about these things, to stop sharing what's going on with me, because I really, really believe that INFJs are very powerful people. We are a quiet power, and I think that we are put on this earth to, be sages, like I said before, and to share good things and to really help people. But I think that we have some vulnerabilities in where we could be silenced very easily. And I can say that I have definitely been, under attack with my thoughts, in that, what I'm doing is wrong, and I know it's not wrong. I mean, I see God's hand in it. He speaks to me. I see his blessings over it. It brings me so much joy. But yeah, so we are very powerful people, and we have a lot of good things to share with the world. And it's time to kind of get into where our vulnerabilities are and kind of, you know, put on that armor and be strong and be what you were made to be. So I am rambling. It is time to say goodbye. My dogs are barking, of course. Have a great day, you guys. Live and love out of the way you were created.